I'm not saying you got to change it to 5'6" if you're 5'10".
But even then, I mean, still, like, it does not change. You can still procreate.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and here's the thing.
It's not like it's a wiener dog, trying to marry like a Great Dane, and it just is not going to work.
Okay, babe.
Really
didn't need to think about that. What's up, everybody?
It's Kate and JJ.
Hey, guys. We are in the middle, still in the beginning stages of season 13 of HOD Dating podcast, where we are talking about what, JJ?
We're talking about hot takes. Now, of all the seasons that you've done on HOD Dating, is this one of your favorite ones?
I love this one. I also loved our season on sex. Got to be honest. I loved also the season we did in 2021 on LGBTQ plus and the church. But yes, this is my other favorite season.
Why? Because you feel like you finally are able to say some things that have been on your chest for a while? Or?
Yeah, I'm getting it all out there in the open. No, seriously. You guys have been loving the season so far. We've been trying to cover as many hot takes as possible. Some of the titles of these episodes are hot takes that we believe in, and some of them are hot takes that maybe we don't believe in. So you got to listen to the episode to find out where it is, or where we stand on these things. But today we're talking about Date the Unexpected. First, I want to say hey to our YouTube family. What's up, everybody?
What's up, YouTube fam?
I got a big boat on my shirt today because I'm a country gal now.
Is that a thrifted shirt?
It is. It says Lake Country.
That's funny. So we got YouTube popping off. We have Patreon. Patreon is it's what we always thought it was going to become, right?
Yes.
It's become a beast.
It's become an awesome family. Like, I love our people. We have our monthly Zoom hangs with our tier 3 in there, and we love hanging with them. We get their dating updates.
Now, talk to me but what's really driven a lot of growth and what people are really interested in is the
matchmaking.
Yeah, people love the matchmaking.
We just had our last matchmaking event, which went so well. And we'll probably do it again, maybe in August.
Yeah, people love the matchmaking because it does work for those who are set up. And then it's also entertaining.
It's so fun. So if you want to support this podcast just for fun, because you love this podcast, it really helps us be able to create the content we create. And you get some fun perks and bonuses, such as some coaching from us and hangouts with us and matchmaking. So come join our Patreon fam. Patreon.com/Heart of Dating. Really quick today, we have some testimonials and of Dating the Unexpected. And just so happens that a lot of the people that we have testimonials from are people that took School of Dating, our 8-week mentorship program. And so we are in the thick of our summer cohort right now, but we do have a cohort coming up this October. So after you hear some of the testimonials today, if you're interested, you can sign up for our first dibs list, which means it's just a free list where you will find out first when School of Dating is open. You get a private sign up with a discount link. And it's a private discount, so nobody publicly gets that discount. And you'll be the first to know because our cohorts usually do sell out. So if you want to be on that list, you can text the word first dibs or the words first dibs to 214-225-7772. And can't wait for our next cohort. It's our intensive program. It's the best thing we do, I think.
Is that first dibs with the space in between?
Yeah, it is.
Just clarifying.
JJ, you want to tell them what we have going on this September?
Yeah, we got Camp HOD. We've been selling tickets. We actually might have to look at getting more rooms because people are signing up. People keep asking, hey, can I get a single room? Can I get a single room? And our answer is what?
You cannot, because we're doing camp style.
Because we hate you.
No, we're doing camp style. And I know y'all are adults. You're like, I'm 40 years old. I don't want to sleep with somebody else in the same room. Well,
what do you think happens in marriage?
Okay, we're not doing guys and girls in the
No,
same room.
but you're going to have a roommate.
Right. You're going to have a roommate. We're going to bring out your inner child. Okay. It's Camp Vibes full blown. And we'll have s'mores, campfires. We are bringing in some mentors. Dr. Jason Van Ruler, who's an amazing psychologist. We have Barb Hill, who's a great counselor. We have Jessie Green, revivalist, and she's amazing with connecting the Holy Spirit. Your mom's going to be coming and doing some inner healing.
Yes. Now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that living alone is a good preparation tool for marriage, or do you think it actually works
living
against?
with roommates is so much better for preparing for marriage.
Did you ever live alone?
Not really. No.
Oh, that's right.
I always had roommates.
Are you thankful? Wow. Okay. You also lived in like expensive cities.
Right. I can afford living alone.
Right.
I lived alone right before we got engaged.
Would you say if singles really wanted to prepare for marriage, they should still live with roommates for as long as possible?
I would.
Wow.
And so come bunk up with some roommates. Right now, you can pay full price or you can do a payment plan. The payment plan it ends at the end of July. Okay. So just a limited time for that payment plan and then we cut it off. So if you want to get on the payment plan, you can get on it right now.
Bring a friend, come alone. I think that's the best, obviously. Bringing a friend, obviously, then you're not necessarily rooming with someone you don't absolutely.
Yes, but roommates are not guaranteed.
Oh, we're really embracing camp style.
Yep. You can make a request, but it's not guaranteed.
Okay. Wow. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. You're really challenging people.
Yeah, we are.
I love it. Way to go.
We're doing the unexpected. Just like this episode. So if you're interested, go to heartofdating.com/Camp HOD. Join us in Asheville in the mountains, September 27th through 29th. Okay, babe, let's jump into the episode.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So today we're talking about date the unexpected.
I think if you talk like that, I don't know if I could have done it. Yeah, we're talking about dating the unexpected. You're telling specifically your story.
Yeah.
And then it's not just your story though today, is it?
It's multiple people's, but this is a hot take. Why is this a hot take?
Well, we watch a lot of dating reality shows and people are obsessed with one thing.
Their type. They
over and over, if we just hear one phrase, it's this: I'm so excited. I really, really like this person. I mean, they are my type to a T. Mm-hmm. What does that even mean?
It means, and we talked about this in the episode with Dr. Cloud earlier this season, that people have this preconceived idea of what is going to make them happy. And so when they say type, a lot of times it comes down to physical type.
Yeah. If I ask someone to describe their type, what's the first thing they begin to describe?
Most likely physical. Like, I like a blonde haired person.
I like an athletic.
I like them
brunette,
tall. I like
5'8".
this body type. Exactly. What's the TikTok trend?
Oh,
finance.
6 foot, trust fund, blue eyes.
Blue eyes, right?
Yeah. Finance, trust fund, 6 foot, blue eyes.
So that's the type for some people, some women.
Was that your type?
No, but that sounds great. Sorry, that's so superficial.
I mean, you got 2 out of the 4.
Finance, trust fund, no finance or trust fund.
Yeah, well.
6 foot, you are 6 foot and blue eyes.
There you go. So
2 out of 4, 50%, baby.
Are you saying that you're not happy? Is that what you're saying?
Of course not. But we've been definitely watching some dumb reality shows. I find it really interesting dating reality shows. Like, we fast forward through all the crazy, weird stuff on there, but it's really interesting to see what people are drawn to and what they're trying, like why they make the decisions they're making. We like Love is Blind because they remove physicality. But yeah, you'll see so many people talking about their type is like this kind of person with this kind of looks and da 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 da, and kind of the bad boy, or a lot of girls. So Christian girls will say, it's the guy who like leads the Bible study, leads worship. He looks a certain way. he has his life together financially, like blah, blah, blah. That's probably what they're describing, but almost nothing in there when you ask somebody about type, are they describing character. They're describing like superficial things, ethnicity, weight or body type, hair color, style, even financial.
It's
success.
probably what, like 70% physical, 30% personality, and even then with personality, it's not necessarily character traits.
They're very big on hobbies. Like we got to share the same kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, they're very flirtatious. They're very lighthearted. They're very extroverted. Like that's not wrong, but it's definitely 70%, I'd say, right? Physical.
Yeah.
30% personality. And the thing about personality is that it doesn't really ever cover character.
Exactly.
Or anything in the soul.
Yeah.
Which is the most eternal, long-standing part about someone.
When we talk about attraction, there's 5 layers of attraction. You've probably heard us talk about this before, but if you haven't, the 5 layers of attraction are emotional attraction, spiritual attraction, intellectual attraction, personality attraction, and physical attraction.
Yep.
So what we're talking about when we say type is people focusing on 2 of those buckets, which is personality and physical.
Now,
and leaving the other 3 out.
What if I came to UK and said, I know my type, and then I explained someone very clearly using all 5 buckets of attraction?
I would say, okay, I like that, but let's not hold so tightly to that, especially the physical and personality.
But Kate, you don't understand. I've dated so many people, and I know that this is best for me.
You know that physical type is best for you. First of all, how do you know that? Are you having sex with them?
Before I knew Jesus, I might have gotten to know a couple people.
So how do you know that that's still what you need and want moving forward? How do you know that physical type is the best for you?
Because I'm still very attracted to it right now.
Right. And what is that attraction driven by? What is that physical attraction driven by? Where did that come from for you?
Definitely not lust or pornography or, something I've just in my mind that I've decided I really, really like.
Right. Great. So do you think that is what the Lord cares about?
Well, I just want to really be attracted to my future spouse. And I know I like that body type the most.
Okay. So do you think that the digital era and where we are today has played a role in what you're attracted to?
Probably.
Right. So if you think that we didn't have the digital era, pornography, those influences, and you just saw the women on your street or at your church, maybe this would change?
Probably. Yeah. I think my standard would come down a little bit. Right. But I think what I also love, though, is what we're saying is you're allowed to have a type. Physically, we just have more questions when people have a, quote, physical type, just because that for us seems like the most, I don't know, fantasy based, or it's the most unrealistic of all of them.
And I know that we're all drawn to something. Okay.
Yeah.
But
those aside, what we would like to say is, first of all, let's look at the other 4 buckets. And you are allowed to have an idea of what you are looking for.
I mean, for example, I've gone out in the past with very good looking guys that were, quote, my type, and then personality, nothing. Right?
So they were not your
me.
Personality type?
Yeah. And emotionally,
yeah,
nothing. Spiritually, nothing. Right. And so, like, when you look at it that way, like the thing that some people are holding on to, though, is they are waiting for the pinnacle of 10 out of 10 physicality, 10 out of 10 personality, 10 out of 10 emotional. And I'm like, let's just calm down, everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
Because these buckets are going to move and shape through time. And you got to get to know someone to even know where you stand, what the number scale is in those buckets.
Totally.
You're not going to know from a dating app, from the first date, where the level of attraction is really in those 5 buckets.
Now, this just hit me. I would actually say we would totally actually encourage you to think about your type, especially spiritually, emotionally, and personality. Like, if you told me that I have a type and that type is the person has to be kind, they have to be humble, they have to be meek, and they have to just be super godly, like they love God, I'd be like, that sounds like an amazing type. You should stick to that type. So not all the conversation of, you have a type? Oh, that's a bad thing. You need to drop your
Right.
type.
But then that same person, I'd ask them, yes, I love that. Now, when you're in a dating app and you see someone that pops up that's under your height preference, that's an ethnicity you've never dated, that's maybe a little bit heavier than, quote, your weight preference, are you going to swipe left or right? If they have a great prompts, if they're showing that they have fun personality, some of those other character qualities, but you're like, truly ask yourself, if you're on that dating app, if their height and weight and looks aren't exactly what first draws you in, are you going to swipe left or right?
Totally.
Because that's the whole point.
Yeah. If you're buying a house and you're looking for wood floors, brand new appliances, like the inside, the foundation's great, it's a new roof, and you're like, but I really want it to be a stone, house. And then you find a house that's brick or vinyl and it has everything on the inside you're looking for and dreaming of.
But the outside is not quite
So
there.
you move along.
Right.
So what you're just saying is,
don't judge a book by its cover.
Well, yeah, but
Kind of.
maybe it's okay if it doesn't have the body style or the outside looks or preferences that you might have dreamed up.
Yeah.
If the inside, which is what matters the most, I like the house analogy because you don't live on the outside of your house.
You live on the inside.
Right.
So here's my challenge is that you might be listening saying, well, I do challenge myself. Okay, great. Next time you're on a dating app, if you're on a dating app, challenge this even more. Like really ask yourself, why am I swiping right? Why am I swiping left? Is it based on physicality? Is it based on ethnicity? Is it based on height? Oh, is it based on location? That's another we never really talk about, but location. Are you just so specific in your little bubble and not willing to go outside of that? Someone DM'd me yesterday, Kate, you guys need to talk more about long distance because there's so many guys in Heart of Dating. Sorry, men, that aren't willing to do long distance. That's another thing. Date the unexpected. Or let's not even on a dating app. Let's say you're just in a room of single people or at your church. What Tim Keller says, you walk into a room and you immediately eliminate 17 or 18 of them because why? The physical outside, their weight, their height, their ethnicity, their style. Like you're looking at those things and saying, I would never date that person.
Totally.
Though you don't know anything quality from the inside.
Yeah. And just to start out, I would say if that's you and you know that number out of like 10 singles in the room, you're writing off 8 because it looks, I think a total win. And all we would ask and encourage you to do is this. Maybe instead of 8, you write off 6. Mm-hmm. And maybe instead of 6, you write off 4.
Yeah.
Right. And you see what I mean? Like, I think people just ask that people mentally go somewhere when you challenge them on physical types and preferences. Like, they think they're going to have to go date the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. Hunchback of Notre Dame. But yeah, that like Quasimodo, is that his name?
Yeah, Quasimodo.
I think people just get really scared and nervous that we're asking them to just go completely the opposite direction and date someone that they physically have no desire to be with. Right.
And we're not saying that. We're just saying to pay more attention to why you are eliminating the people you're eliminating and why you're saying yes to the people you're saying yes to or why you're interested in the people you're interested in. Like, pay attention. So we have some testimonials to share of some people that have amazing stories. And I love these testimonials because each one of them is a little bit different in how they challenge themselves. So the first we have is Amanda Perkins. We love Judge Perkins. She was in School of Dating a little over a year ago. And she is talking about style, actually, and like outward appearance. So let's see what she has to say.
Before School of Dating, I definitely had a type. Overly educated, a good dresser, more clean cut, definitely had the biggest, most commanding personality in the room and tended to be inconsistent with me. If I dated someone that was not like that, I tended to end things with them because I didn't feel a connection. And if I dated someone that was like that, they tended to end things with me. So one of the things I really appreciated about School of Dating was just focusing on 3 things that were non-negotiables to me in someone that I was dating, and then being open to dating outside of that and being open to the unexpected. So after School of Dating, I started dating a guy that was not my typical type. He had tattoos. He has a great career, but did not have a college, does not have a college degree, definitely didn't have the most commanding personality in the room, but was super consistent with me. And he did have my 3 non-negotiables. He had things he was passionate about, he was connected to his community, and he was a really good communicator. So my initial reaction was to write him off and say he was not my type, but I had just finished School of Dating and really challenged myself to continue to date this man and get to know him because he did have my non-negotiables. And we're still dating 8 months later, and I'm so glad for School of Dating and just that challenge, because without that, I would have missed out on a really great guy and would have missed out on the opportunity to challenge myself and grow.
Dang.
Let's go, Perkins. What did you like about that testimonial?
I like that guy is going to probably send me a Chipotle gift card and say thank you so much for school dating and challenging Amanda, because now I have an amazing girlfriend.
Yeah.
And man, here's a Chipotle gift card, some Jordans, and
Stop it.
some
Stop
Pro V
right
ones.
now.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Hey, that is amazing. So awesome.
I love that she says, like, hey, this is the kind of style I was interested in. These kinds of guys are like really what I laser focused in on.
Yeah, highly educated. I love the fact that he doesn't have a college degree, but he's a great worker with a great career. I mean, that is like, it's a small thing that might have eliminated him from the get-go.
A lot of women actually do eliminate guys because they don't have college degrees.
Totally. And I understand why. It's just every guy's different. Like some of the best coworkers I've ever had actually did not have college degrees. And some of the worst ones I've ever had MBAs.
Yeah.
So, it just doesn't really matter,
Right. Like, I understand one thing I hear a lot from women in this regard is financial stability. And I always tell the story of Jamal Miller and Natasha Miller, because when they met, Jamal was making like minimum wage and not a lot of money at all. And the thing that he told Natasha was like, hey, it's true. I'm not financially successful right now. Here's the amount I'm making, minimum wage, but I have a plan and a vision, and I'm not going to remain stagnant. And here are the things I'm planning to do, or like move, like here's a vision I have about how I'm going to move forward financially. And I think that's more important than where their bank account is today.
Yeah.
Do they have a vision and a plan for where they're going financially?
Totally. But I love for Amanda how she said, all right, I'm just going to focus on the non-negotiables.
Yes.
And what is he doing well? Well, he's super consistent.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the loudest personality, which is fine. Let me just see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you find yourself 8 months later still dating an amazing man.
So good. So this next testimonial is about long distance, actually. It is so cool. Love Anastasia's accent, by the way, which you guys are about to hear. But this one blew my mind with the amount of long distance that this couple has. So let's listen to this.
So I actually dated the unexpected, and I'm now in a relationship with a guy that's living 8,000 kilometers away from me. It's crazy. Actually, a few years ago, I went on a semester abroad to South Africa. I'm actually originally from Germany. And I met this guy there, and we became really good friends. And after some months, he approached me and asked me if we could date. And I was so thrown off. I was like zero attracted to him. I really wanted to friend zone him so much. But literally when I sat in his car to reject him, I reminded myself of the Heart of Dating podcast and the principle of giving people a chance, even if they're not your type and you're not attracted yet. And I actually decided that we could date. And it wasn't easy. I always had to convince myself that it's okay to not feel 100% attracted right away. And because he's an introvert, I really got to know his personality, and I got to know him better. And we ended up dating quite a while, but I also ended up falling in love. And now we got into a relationship and have been ever since. And it's obviously crazy because he's living so far away from me, but he's such an amazing person. He treats me so well. He loves me so well, and he's so humble and kind. And I wanted to reject him actually just because I didn't really know him and wasn't attracted to him because of that. So this is actually for the people who are in the same situation, because it's so important to give people a chance. You don't know if you would fall in love with this person, but you could check it out.
Love it, Anastasia. Thank you for sharing that story. 8,000 kilometers away. Okay.
How many miles is that? Or what would that
5,000 maybe?
What would that be in US terms?
5,000 miles?
Would that be like coast to coast?
5.5 thousand miles? That's, I don't know. It's further than that. South Africa to Germany?
New York
That's really
City
far.
to like Mexico City?
Maybe. So it's far, probably probably similar time zones, which is good because South Africa is like south.
Yeah, that's gotta be far.
But definitely far. So first of all, long distance, shout out. Like that, you and I did long distance, not nearly that far.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let me just say, one, I'm so proud of you, Anastasia. What an amazing moment in that car of sitting there about to say no and friend zone him.
Yep.
And then you just remind yourself, like, why am I rejecting him?
Why don't I just give him a shot? Why don't I see what his personality is like?
Yeah,
right?
like, why am I really rejecting him? Is it just physical?
I have a hair in my mouth.
Do I know him personally, emotionally? Like, is there any reason why I'm rejecting him because of character?
And she probably said to herself, no. And, you know, here's another thing. He was introverted. And so she didn't get to know she didn't know him that well. And so she also was like, you know what? I don't know him that well, and maybe I should try to get to know him a little more.
Yeah. And I would just say personally, I'm biased, but I have such a soft spot for introverts.
Mm-hmm.
I think introverts are the most underrated people.
Why are you biased? You're not introverted.
No, I'm exactly, because I love introverts. Like, I love my introverted friends.
Yeah.
I love being around introverts in general, not because I can just dominate the room, because they're the most observational, wise, kind people I'm typically around. Like, they're typically more quiet for a specific reason.
Yeah.
Which is
agree.
they don't feel the need to assert themselves. They don't feel the need to prove themselves always.
Yes.
Like, that's a generalization, but I would just say like introverts are oftentimes very underrated in the dating arena.
Yeah. So true. And I think you, again, even if they're introverted and you have met them and they're maybe not your physical type or other, you know, you even think personality. I don't know if I'm attracted to their personality. Get to know them. One of my roommates years ago, she's very introverted, and it took us like 6 months, 8 months to a year to really develop a friendship. And now she was in my wedding, like, because we let that develop.
Totally.
And absolutely love her to death. Kathleen, shout out. Okay, we have another testimonial from Cheryl LaBelle, who was also in our first class of School of Dating, actually. Love Cheryl's story. So let's hear it.
Such a great name.
My type growing up was the emotionally unavailable men and the ones that just weren't that interested in me, because I was attracted to that whole striving narrative where it's like, it's unrequited love and I'm helpless romantic. That was really challenging and led to a lot of rejection, a lot of hurt. So how things shifted was I instead invested in my relationship with Christ, let God identify who I was, and really give me my identity and really show me what a healthy dynamic was. It's like, what does it mean to be a healthy feminine or woman, and what is a healthy masculine and man that I'm looking for in relationships. So I'm letting him kind of make those definitions as I am engaging in my church community and working on my friendships right around me. And that's like, that generally changed all the general health of my whole life. And counseling, of course, was a huge help too. So I kind of let go of that striving mentality, and really, it was scary, but I embraced a vulnerability that was really more feminine for me. And when I got to a place where I was quote unquote ready, I didn't necessarily know it at the time, but I was open to relationships, and I would communicate that to men I interacted with. So with my now fiance, I created that space where I let him ask me on the date, but I also invited. I flirted with him, and I said things that were really bold. Like, it's like, if we continue hugging for long periods of time like this, I'm going to start liking you. And that vulnerability kind of clued him into those, like, oh, she's interested in me. I can ask her out on a date. That's what happened. That's my small story. So thank you so much for listening.
Oh, Cheryl, I love this. Typically attracted to the emotionally unavailable guy, uncomfortable with really leaning into her feminine. And after she really did some soul searching therapy, she was in school of dating, like shifted that towards, okay, what does it look like to lean more into my feminine? What does it look like to attract emotionally healthy men and, be flowy and feminine and vulnerable with these guys? And I absolutely love Cheryl's story. She is now engaged, which is so cool.
Way to go, Cheryl. I'm so proud of you. And, I've always been curious about the desire to date emotionally unavailable people, whether it's a guy or a girl. And is it because if I date someone who's emotionally unavailable, that also means I don't have to be vulnerable and process my emotions and speak them out with this other person?
A bit, but a lot of emotionally unavailable is, usually those people come on hot and heavy. It's very like, it's almost like I want the person that I can't have. And they're usually liked by a lot of other people. They usually will say all these flowery, amazing words to you. And then all of a sudden it switches and completely goes the opposite direction. And then you're still attached, wanting to like prove yourself, wanting to convince them to be with you, wanting to, like do whatever you can to keep this connection. And yet, for them, it was a little bit superficial all along.
Got
but
it.
For you, it wasn't.
Got it.
And so they're emotionally
So it's not like I'm
not available.
It's not like I am attracted to emotionally unavailable people. I often find myself in situations with emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, you're
people.
more attracted to that. Also, typically, if in your childhood, you had if you have an anxious or avoidant attachment style, you're probably more attracted to unavailable people.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So Cheryl, we're so proud of you and so happy for your engagement. Molly Smith is our next testimonial. And really quick, we do have testimonials of guys. We just could not get, for the life of us, a guy to send us a voice memo in for these testimonials. But we do have testimonials, so maybe we'll show those verbally. But Molly, she's amazing. She had really tight preferences and a height preference. And it was because she shifted her mentality of wanting to date a really awesome Christian man, which is great, but she got super strict on what she was looking for until one day she realized that also was not working for her. So let's hear what she says.
I dated a lot of men in my 20s who said they loved Jesus, but who didn't walk the walk. And I was in some unhealthy relationships. One led me to rock bottom, and that in that place I was pointed to Jesus. And I decided in that moment, I'm never dating anyone ever again who isn't fully obsessed, like all in with Jesus, who wants to live a life that is glorifying to Jesus. After some healing, I got on Hinge, and I would only even consider men who said something about how important Jesus was to them in their profile. Because it needed to be the most important thing to them, or I wasn't interested. And I was stubborn about that, and I was also stubborn about height. I wanted to date a tall man, and I did. I dated tall men who loved Jesus, and it kept not working out. And one day, God gave me this picture of tight fists. And it was obviously me having really tight fists around this idea that I thought was best for me, dating tall men. And he was like, girlfriend, open those fists, release that to me. You're not in control. I am in control. I love you. I'm your perfect father. And so I was like, okay, God, changed my height preference on Hinge. And my husband matched with me that day. And we went on a date, and he just treated me so well. He loved Jesus so much. He pursued me beautifully and had healthy boundaries. And it was just the best dating experience ever. And now I'm married to a man who loves Jesus. And we're both walking in the same direction toward the same goal. And it's just the best gift. So go change your height preference on Hinge, everyone. Trust God. He loves you. He's got you.
Oh,
So awesome.
Molly, let's go, girl. You know I can stand on this platform about height all day long. And I am so proud of you, girl.
That was that a pun intended?
Platform, it wasn't, but that's so funny.
Man, listen, Molly, first of all, thank you so much. Congratulations on your amazing marriage. He sounds like a wonderful man. He really does. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. Like, I have not even been at Heart of Dating for as near as long as you have. And if there's just one story I hear over and over and over again is I went on Hinge, I changed my height preference, and I lowered it by 2 inches. And like, literally, I kid you not, I hear this all the time. The next day, I matched with the man I'm married to.
Wow. Yep.
I hear it all the time.
Hinge or whatever dating app.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it does. Like, I mean, and we have so many friends and people that have done this. Like Carrie Scott Garcia, a friend of ours. She is a special coach in School of Dating, does her own programs. Her husband's shorter than she ever would have considered. He's a short king and amazing marriage, thriving marriage, right? We just have so many people that we know that ended up with a guy that's just a little bit shorter than they would have expected. And, you know, they are absolutely in love with them. And it's amazing.
We like to pick on height, pun intended, just because it's one of the most like superficial things that actually does not matter.
It really doesn't. And even if you're saying, well, Kate, I'm 5'10".
It's so tall.
Okay, sure. Then why don't you, if you're looking for a guy above 6 foot, why don't you just at least lower your height preference to 5'10", your same height, or maybe 5'9", like 1 inch shorter? Like, why not just open it up just a little bit?
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
I'm not saying you got to change it to 5'6" if you're 5'10".
But even then, I mean, still, like it does not change. You can still procreate.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and here's the thing.
It's not like it's a wiener dog, trying to marry like a Great Dane, and it just is not going to work.
Okay, babe.
Really
didn't need to think about that.
But I mean, it just like it doesn't mean anything.
It could also go the opposite way. We have JP Pokluda who married Monica. He's like, what, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7"?
He's huge.
And she's like 5 foot. Okay.
Yeah, and she's tiny.
So it's like, obviously that's crazy.
It doesn't change anything.
Right? But there you go. So it can go that way as well for the shorter ladies who are like, oh, I don't want a guy actually that tall. Well, maybe you want to extend it just in case. Something else I was going to say is that the average height of a guy in America, I believe, it's either 5'6" or 5'7". Okay. So think about it. That's average, meaning there's tons of guys underneath that height and very little guys above like 6 foot tall, to be honest with you. So if that's the average height and yet your preferences are all above that average of 5'7" or whatever it is, then you are limiting yourself from a potentially amazing guy. So for me, people always say, well, Kate, like JJ's taller than you. Okay. So what do you have to say about that? I'm like, my response to that is that's true. But before JJ, I dated tons of guys that were my height or like an inch shorter, truly. Now, the biggest thing that I hear in this argument is, oh, well, I don't feel feminine. And that I think is more just an insecurity that us women have to work through, because if the guy is confident in himself, if the guy is okay with it, then why does it have to make you feel less feminine? If that is like more of your own body image issue that you need to work on, being with a bigger man, sure, maybe it'll make you feel more feminine, but that's also something that you're looking to him to heal you in versus trying to heal that on your own. I don't feel feminine with a shorter guy. That is something that actually you have to work on, not look to somebody else to make you feel more feminine because they're bigger. If you don't feel feminine and you feel large, that's something you need to work on your own. And so that's something that I had to challenge myself with. If the guy was perfectly fine being the same height as me, or if I wore heels and I was taller, if he was okay with that, why couldn't I be okay with that? if I wasn't okay with it, I had to look inside myself to try to heal that. With JJ, I actually never asked his height. We met on a Zoom call. We did FaceTime dates for over a month before we met in person. And I never knew how tall he was. And I didn't really care. Like, I wasn't like, okay, I'm going to ask him because I need to know before he comes to visit. I was like, you know what? It's all good. Like,
what if I was 5'4"?
If you were 5'4", I mean, that would have been the shortest I've ever dated. And that probably would have been challenging for me because I'm 5'7", but I think it doesn't really matter. Like, that to me, if I felt secure in myself, if you were confident in your height, then it doesn't really matter that you would have been 3 inches shorter than me. Truly.
So you think you would have gotten over it?
Yeah, I think I would have gotten over it.
Aren't you going to ask me if I ever dated shorter or taller?
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
Did you ever date really short or really tall?
Yeah, I dated both.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Uh-huh.
I loved it. I dated, I think, down to 5'2" or 3.
Uh-huh.
Short. And I actually dated a girl who was taller than me. Went on 1 or 2 dates, but
how was that?
I loved it. I loved dating tall. I always thought I was gonna end up with someone who's 5'11", 6 foot.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, you just hold it loosely,
Mm-hmm.
If you would have asked me my type and I had to give you an answer, I would have been like, honestly, if she's an inch shorter than me, 6 foot, 5'11", I would have loved it. But again, it's one of those things of all the physical types and preferences. I think height for some reason is the easiest one to kind of debunk.
Right. And I think guys maybe are a little less of the problem here as women. Women are really strict on this.
Oh, you're coming up to the women, huh?
It really is true. And that's why I'm like, hey guys, I feel you, but I've actually been in relationships with tons of guys. Here's another fact. The majority of my actual long-term relationships before JJ were all with guys my height, 1 inch taller or 1 inch shorter.
Oh, on purpose or it just happened?
Just happened to be that way.
Oh.
So that's something that people need to know, I feel like, because you don't know these guys, you don't know that.
And what you're saying is you just happen to end up with someone who's a little bit more tall.
Right.
But that was not your trend.
No,
or your preference
that's why I
or
didn't
what
even
you were
ask
chasing.
you about it before you came to visit.
Okay, so it was never really one of those things that you cared about that much.
No, I had to work through it.
Oh, okay.
I did have to work through it. I didn't eliminate guys because they were shorter per se, but I had to work through it because I did have those feelings of I'm not feminine with a shorter guy.
Got it.
And so, but I never really eliminated guys based on height.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about physical attraction. Is there any testimonials on physical attractiveness or?
Yes, there is. We have Sarah Woods to close us out here. And we love Sarah. She was in School of Dating October 2023. And oh gosh, just love this testimonial.
So sweet.
We got to walk through this journey with her. She actually met this guy online at HODC Nash. And it's just so cool. We got to see her because she's also in Patreon. We got to walk with her through this in Patreon the beginning of this year till now. So let's hear what she has to say.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I've been part of the HOD dating community for the past few years, but I just thought I would share my story about dating the unexpected that actually just happened recently. So I participated in the School of Dating program, just this most recent one in October 2023, and I also attended the HOD Dating conference in December. I attended online, and it was actually through there that there was a guy who messaged me during the online singles party, and when I first saw him, I did think he wasn't my type physically, but especially since going through School of Dating, I decided to just get to know him, just see how it goes, see what happens. And we've gone on some dates, and I really grew attracted to his character, his relationship with God. All of that was aligning well. And I've noticed over time, the physical attractiveness grew. And we just continued going on dates, continued getting to know each other, and we actually developed into a relationship, and we've now been together for about a month. And I just wanted to say that it may seem hard at first, of course, but to be out of your type and, not, just being used to what you've been following all along, but it really can make a big difference because you never know who's going to be out there, just amazing people. And so it's just really awesome that I was able to feel challenged in that way, especially since doing School of Dating and the conference. So I'm just really thankful with where we're at, and we both feel the same with how everything's been going, and just really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the relationship continues to go. So I just want to share that and just hopefully it can be a great inspiration to everybody that it can really happen, and especially it'll be God's will and God's timing, and He can make anything happen with the unexpected.
She's the best.
Sarah,
I love
go
her.
Sarah. I just remember our conversation. She was like, he's great character. I'm not sure if I'm attracted to him. And we were like, hey, girl, let's keep challenging it. Let's just see where it goes. And it's not because this guy was unattractive. I think everyone needs to know that. Let's go back to the first episode of the season. It's not that this guy was unattractive or quote ugly. Okay. It was more that she wasn't attracted to him for various reasons, but physically, but as she grew to know him, his personality, emotional, spiritual character, the physical part came, and now they're in a relationship, and it's so amazing, isn't it?
I love it when people challenge themselves. Like, even if it doesn't work out, and all these testimonials, only one of them is engaged. Is that right?
No, we have one married and one engaged.
One married, one. Like, success is not whether or not they get engaged or married.
Yeah.
Success is just simply challenging yourself.
Right.
And you go on a date with someone that you originally might not have gone on a date with.
Yep.
That is the win. Like, that is absolutely the win here. It doesn't have to end the marriage or engagement for you to have a quote success story.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you just challenging yourself, opening your height preferences by an inch, saying, I like a clean cut guy, but this guy's got a man bun and a beard. Like, fine. Like, let's just see. Like, let's see what his character is like. Let's see what his personality is like. The superficial stuff like hair, height, weight, like it changes throughout time anyway.
Yeah.
You can always cut hair.
So I know we didn't have specific voice testimonials from guys. Do you have any that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I have one. Unfortunately, the reason why we couldn't use it is because we didn't get permission in time. But essentially, what they said was, I actually, personality-wise, had a very specific type. I like extroverted, gregarious girls who were charismatic. And I challenged myself to date an introverted, shy girl, and it was the best thing ever for me. I see this I see it with both men and women. I think for some reason, extroverted, charismatic, shiny personalities are just shiny, right? And that's maybe something that we see perpetrated in Hollywood more often than not. Sometimes you get the rom-coms where there's the shy guy who's quiet, or the girl, and they bring it out of them. But I really do think that's an amazing story that happens and is really good for both parties. Like, I have an introverted guy friend, and he's seriously dating another girl, and instead of pulling out his fun side and his outgoing side, she pulls him into a quieter place and pulls him into even more isolated and introverted life. And if that's what he wanted, I would say, that's great, man. Like, I'm really happy for you. It is your choice at the end of the day. And if that's what you really want, then great. But the problem is that that's not what he wanted. He actually wants to live a little bit more of an outgoing, extroverted life. And he wants someone to kind of pull out that fun side of him, while he might be the other side of the seesaw and balance out their personality. And so with that friend, which should be its own episode on how to talk to friends about their dating lives and people that they're thinking about marrying, right? Because it's so challenging. It's, hey, I love you. And from what I hear you express and say is you're really scared and nervous that you're going to be living a boring, quiet life for the rest of your life if you end up marrying this person. Is that right?
Right. And the thing is, you don't know until you date that kind of person. Until you see and challenge yourself. Like, if you're like, oh, I'm set on being with an extrovert, Well, you may not know if that's really best for you unless you also date an introvert. And if you just date an introvert that ends up being toxic or abusive or emotionally unavailable, that's not a great representative of what all introverts are like.
And so someone might say, well, I only date introverts because of exactly what you just said. All the charismatic extroverts I've dated have been toxic, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm like, well, I would also challenge you because you don't know, like you've never met every introvert in the world. Not all introverts are the same.
Not all extroverts.
Not all extroverts are the same.
So that's why just challenging that type, and something else I wanted to bring up is I saw a story on Instagram recently of a guy who wasn't initially attracted to his now wife. And
he got crucified.
Oh man, he totally did. But the thing that was so awesome that the girl actually posted about this because she actually didn't take care of herself. Like she really was in a very insecure stage in her life and she didn't take care of herself in terms of like hygiene and the way she looked. Like, and I'm not saying a superficial level of like taking care of herself. It was like she admittedly had a lot of kind of maybe self-hatred. I don't know, like some deep insecurities. And that bled out into the way she was dressing, which you often see a lot, the way she was dressing and taking care of herself. And so he wasn't attracted to her, not because she was physically unattractive, but more so because it was very clear she wasn't confident and didn't actually love the skin that she was in. And that was evident through the way she was dressing, through what she was eating, through how she was even taking care of her body hygiene wise. Right. And so he wasn't that attracted. And I think that comes down to more because she didn't have true inner confidence in herself. And so that makes all the difference. You can be the quote physically hottest girl in the world. If you don't have deep inner confidence, somebody isn't probably going to be that attracted to you.
It's so interesting that her wounds and what she believed about herself came out in maybe a negative way. Mm-hmm. Right from like that kind of scale of judgment, because a lot of times you actually see women and men struggle with the same thing, but it comes out in a performative way.
Right, with all the plastic surgery.
I feel really bad about how I look and I don't feel beautiful, so I'm going to try really, really hard to be beautiful and dress the best, look the best, wear a lot of makeup.
Yeah. Botox, lip fillers, like all the things. And again,
the heart underneath
if you have those things, but it's more like, what is the intention?
The heart underneath it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I love that story. And he got crucified, like you said, but I think it was phenomenal because the girl was like, hey, he wasn't attracted to me. And honestly, he was right. Like I wasn't even showing any ounce of confidence and I wasn't taking care of myself at all. And so you do see guys challenge themselves. And so, yes, we didn't get a guy to send in a voice memo. However, we do see guys doing this as well. Totally. And we want to encourage the guys listening to, yes, indeed, do this even more. This isn't just an episode for females to challenge themselves.
I know. It almost feels like, well, women just need to stop being picky and settle for guys who, they're not physically or emotionally and personality attracted to.
No, it's guys too.
It's absolutely guys too.
Yeah. So guys, date the unexpected. That's our hot take. Challenge yourself. 1 inch shorter, 2 inches shorter. Lengthen your distance. Okay. 8,000 kilometers from Anastasia. Let's go.
Dude, I'm so serious. Like we see hundreds of stories every week now.
Yes.
And I can't tell you the one thing they all have in common is they change one little preference, and someone's going to hear this episode. You're going to go on your phone right now and you're going to change something small.
Or you're going to reconsider a friend.
Yeah. And this next week, this next month, you're going to match someone and you're going to marry them. And you're going to be hearing about it. And we're going to be hearing about it a year from now. Like, seriously. I'm so serious. That's how this works.
So you should do it. All right, guys. We love you.
Love you guys.
Bye. The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kate and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring this show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.